one of the things that I love that I learned about you is that you're into the data.
I love
You're
it.
you're into knowing how many auditions your client went on, what they got callbacks, what they booked.
Yeah.
What's going on. Um, what got you interested in that? Because I think that's key for
Yeah.
any, not only agents but for actors.
I think, well, I've been doing this for years, but my assistant Joanna had come in and she did it for her own career, which I think all actors should be, um, should be charting all this stuff. Like, I want to know how many like what my percentage is over maybe 2 years time. Am I getting worse? Am I getting better? Am I staying the same? Um, what things may I need to work on? What casting directors are calling me in? What casting directors aren't calling me in? I want to know all this about my talent. We represent about 130 people right now. And it just gives me a little bit of insight into what's working for people or what's not working for people. I think how I came into that, my brain just kind of works like that. I just like to see, I need to see something on paper and be able to really look at it like, oh, okay. For me too, for an agency, oh, this year our callback ratio was 12%. Let's go for 15 next year. My booking percentage was 10%. Let's see if we can get it to 15 next year. So it helps for me as an agency as well.
So let me ask you a question as we're talking about data, because I think this feeds into it. Is branding, actors branding themselves, knowing what it is that they sell, what their superpower is? Because I'm a believer that if you know what you sell, if you know what you nail, your percentage is going to be better in
Right.
booking work. Not that you are going to book everything, but at least you are right in the ballpark.
Right.
If they don't hire you, it's because it was something totally out of your control,
Yeah.
either height or weight, or there was some physicality that you had no control over
Yeah.
that caused you to not book that job.
Right.
But how big are you in talking to your clients about knowing what they sell?
That's a good question. Well, I think to your point of like the things out of your control, just for actors listening, if you've gotten to the avail of a job, if a client actually wants to pin you for certain dates, that's really a booking without getting paid. Because at that point, it could be they're looking for someone. The client was like, let's go someone blue eyed instead of brown eyes, really. It wasn't anything that had to do with your acting. So, if you got to the avail process, that's a win. Um, but secondly, to me, it's kind of like the market tells us who you are. Um, I have such a big sample size that I'm able to kind of back up a little bit. I'm like, oh, this person goes out for this slam dunk. They're always going to get called in. I'm able to see that with people with. It's interesting. I have a girl that goes out if it's an automobile spot, she's getting called in. I have another guy, pharmaceutical, always called in. Another girl, banking, whatever, done. She's getting called in. Um, but we only get to see the trend after a while of auditioning and knowing that. Um, you know, I think it's actors really need to just kind of trust their gut and understand themselves to double down on like what their look may be, what the things they should be studying. Some people are just drama people. They're not UCB, groundlings, comedian. They're just not going out for those quirky things. But it's up to the actor to sort of have that self awareness. Okay, this is sort of my type. These are the headshots I'm going to go for. These are the sort of acting classes I'm going to enroll in. If it might be your own, content that you shoot, these are the things I'm going to shoot, and just double down on your strengths. But I think it takes a little bit of time for any actor to really find their way with that because you need to audition to really kind of understand that, right? So it really takes some time. So patience is huge in this game.
And classes,
Yeah.
because while you're waiting for the auditions, the classes will help you define who you are. You
100%.
you'll do a scene, or you'll go to a commercial workshop. You'll get to see yourself on camera. You'll get to see what looks good on you and what doesn't look good on you. Because
Right.
I think one of the biggest faux pas that actors make is they think they could do everything,
Mm,
and then they get mad when they don't get hired for
right.
everything.
Oh my gosh,
it,
that's such a
it
good point.
it's not it, and it has nothing to do with how talented you are. It has to do with what they're buying from you.
Right.
You
That's
know,
such a good point.
theater is different. You can do any part in theater and not be penalized, and people will go see you. You can be a farm girl, or you can be a superpower, whatever you want. But when you are in front of a camera, they're hiring you based on your look,
Mm,
and then your talent shines
right.
through. But they're looking for something specific, and a lot of times actors, because in acting class they don't tell you that. In
Right.
acting class it's like, oh, great scene,
Right.
okay, you nailed it, you could do. But you're not going to be hired to do Shakespeare when
Right.
they want you to do a Coke commercial,
Right.
or they
It's
want you to
completely different.
do pizza.
It's complete. And the funny thing is that you mentioned theater. Those are some of the most difficult actors that I come across to specifically book commercially, because they could be the most. I have Harvard MFAs. They could be the most advanced technical actors, but sometimes it's a really subtle beat or an improv sort of direction that they're getting in a commercial, and it's just not translating for them. And it can be really frustrating, obviously, for the actors. It doesn't mean that they're not talented, um, but in that scenario, understand that that's really where your strength lies. Maybe I do need to take a commercial technique intro class, which could be super humbling to some people. But you know, like, so put your ego aside. Would you rather book something and make money from it, or just shoo it aside and say, I don't need to learn something new, you know?
And I think it's understanding that the actors have to understand that commercials are different from theatrical bookings.
Oh my gosh.
So different. I mean,
It's
it
completely
is
different.
about a beat in
Yeah.
commercials. It is about that funny moment. It
Right.
has nothing to do with how gifted you are. And
No,
so you have to be flexible there if you want
very
to do commercials. If Because if you don't want to do
right.
commercials, leave it alone.
That's what I'm look, we're speaking to everybody listening. I'm speaking to commercial only. It's a very specific thing. Um, but it takes, you got to really take some direction, and there's just very specific beats and techniques that you need to learn. Something as simple as like an eye line, or where is your subject looking at, and I had just a quick example. I've represented a really great guy for about 4 years now, and he booked one commercial in 4 years. He's gone out probably. I've gotten him at least 100 auditions.
Wow.
And he finally, I don't know if it was my direction or he heard it through someone else, he got into Groundlings. And he's been at Groundlings for a few months now. No joke, his last 4 auditions, he's got a call back, and he booked something within the last couple of months. I can't imagine that's a coincidence.
No, it's not.
He's a serious actor, right? All these things, good looking guy. But he got in there, he got uncomfortable, and he's flourishing with commercial work now. And just because you're flourishing or you're doing great in commercial world doesn't mean you're not going to be some great theatrical actor or on some TV show or in a feature film. You're not saying that at all. It just means you're good at something else as well.